Please, 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 if you recently experienced some failure, if things have gone a bit pear-shaped, it's not the end of the world. That doesn't define you. Hi, my name's Alec Dudson and I'm founder of Intern, and welcome to the final episode of the F Word. So when it comes to failure for me, I think I connect a lot of that with perfectionism, and I'm a terrible perfectionist. You obviously wouldn't know looking at our feed necessarily, but what I've started to learn is that in life that's actually really unrealistic, and you end up causing yourself a good deal of stress trying to kind of make things perfect when it's really difficult to do that. But I guess, the longer you are in the creative industries, the more likely you are to learn one of the downsides to that, in that for all the control in the world, you can, certainly in terms of the creative process, you can try and perfect that. You can lock it down, you can plan it, you can pick your collaborators, you can, creative direct and art direct. Sometimes it ends up kind of feeling quite, not for nothing, but it falls in on itself, because once you release that thing to the world, if it doesn't get the, warm reception or the kind of, the likes or whatever that you were hoping, it can feel like a lot of that effort was wasted. And that can be really tough, I think, particularly when so much of your energy goes into trying to kind of avoid failure and be so perfect. So, I guess it wouldn't be fair for me to do one of these videos, following on from all the great ones in the series, if I too didn't share some of my failures. There's been a lot, and no doubt there'll be a lot more. Let me see, some favourites. There was the time I sent, honestly, about 2 or 3 months worth of emails. I was getting no responses. I was mixing up my the way I was talking about Intern and what we did. Largely, these were trying to get new kind of partnerships on the go, connecting with brands, and I was getting nothing. And honestly, it was really, really difficult. I just kind of thought maybe the ship has sailed. Maybe nobody's interested anymore. Fundamentally, I must have done something wrong. It wasn't until I accidentally sent one of the emails from a different email account and instantly got an out of office bounce back that I was a little bit confused. Chased it up, and lo and behold, unbeknownst to me, I'd been on a spam list for 2 months. So I spent days of my life, weeks of my life, agonizing over and carefully crafting emails. Nobody was seeing them. They weren't even making it into their inbox. So that was a lot of time wasted. I do not have a good track record with applications. I think I've sent 3 to the Arts Council. How many times have I received Arts Council funding? 0. Not a stitch from them. So if it's applications, if it's awards, whatever it might be that you're applying to, jobs, had a lot of job rejections as well. You're going to get more no's than yeses. That's just the kind of the universe in action. You can't succeed in every single thing you apply to. That's just not going to work like that. So I think it's really, really important to try and take those things on the chin, not be discouraged. Whether it's a job, whether it's an application, you have to kind of dust yourself off a little bit and go again. But it can be really hard in the moment. I suppose another thing to kind of think about in that regard is that failing does not make you a failure. And that can be, again, hard to really kind of hear that and let it sink in. It doesn't. Everyone fails. It doesn't matter how successful they look. There will be a lot of failure on that path. And I don't think it stops. I can't really speak from experience, but I don't think it stops when you reach the top of an industry. it just comes from people with bigger budgets. So please, 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 if you recently experienced some failure, if things have gone a bit pear-shaped, it's not the end of the world. That doesn't define you. Okay, so you have to keep pushing. One thing I'd really like to see is for us in general, you know, the creative community, the world more broadly, to just have a more positive relationship with failure. It's everywhere. You know, if you go out in the world and try and do things, a lot of them aren't going to land right. You might get them wrong. Again, your audience might just not connect with it, your customer, whatever it might be. And if you work in the creative industries, success, you know, that only really comes through rejection, right? Every day as a creative, when you put something out there in the world, you face likely rejection. And again, just like simple kind of rules of the universe, a lot more stuff will fail or won't quite land than it ever will really take off, go viral, or whatever it is that you're aiming for. So I think we have to be careful. I think social media plays a big part in that. We only really show the perfect moments. And you don't need me to tell you, you already know that this thing it's constructed. It's a conversation that's been going on for a long time, but I think we kind of forget that in the moment. We get wrapped up in seeing that very perfect thing that somebody else is doing. That's really hard to deal with. I don't think it's been aided by the pandemic and lockdown. We're spending more and more time on the internet and not out there having conversations with real people, having those more sincere human moments. So if nothing else comes from this series, I hope that in your life, you can just try and have a bit more of an honest and open dialogue around failure. Ultimately, I think that, you know, being open about failure is a kindness to one another. Showing vulnerability, helping people understand that a creative career isn't straightforward. It's really tough. We have to be honest about this, regardless of what level we're at in the creative industry, that failure is it's a day-to-day thing. So growing with it, learning with it is really one of only two options, and the other, unfortunately, is to let that kind of put you off or shut you down. So that's it for me today. I could waffle on all day about this, but that's, you know, it's not what you're here for. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. While I'm on my thank yous, huge thank you to Adobe for believing in us and supporting us. Thank you, of course, to our stars throughout this series, Holly, Akocha, Sinead. If you've not watched those videos already, please go back and watch them. And finally, a thank you to my partner in crime on this project, Lorna, who remains behind the scenes, but without whom I would still be having very awkward conversations with Adobe. So there it is, the F word. Hopefully we're going to use this as a launch pad to talk a lot more about our failure, to normalize that conversation, and to make sure that you know plainly and clearly, failing does not make you a failure. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon.